people who say, "That's okay."
There's a phrase people use that sounds calm, understanding, and emotionally mature. That's okay. It usually shows up right after a disappointment, a late reply, a canceled plan, a missed expectation. And on the surface, it feels generous. It sounds like acceptance, like reassurance, like the situation no longer needs attention. Most of the time, the conversation stops there, because "that's okay" sounds final. It sounds like the moment has been resolved. But the feeling doesn't always match the words, and that quiet gap is what makes the phrase so familiar.
Usually, "that's okay" appears after an apology. Someone explains, someone justifies, someone says they couldn't make it, and the response comes quickly. "That's okay." No follow-up, no questions. It feels polite, it feels emotionally controlled, and in many cases it is sincere. But it also works as a shortcut. It closes the situation without reopening it. It avoids awkward explanations. It avoids making the other person uncomfortable, so the conversation moves on, at least on the surface. The issue isn't saying "that's okay" once. It's when it becomes the default response. Plans change, replies slow down, disappointments repeat. And every time, the same phrase appears. "That's okay." Not because everything is fine, but because it feels easier than explaining how it feels. Over time, the phrase stops signaling acceptance and starts signaling resignation. It becomes a way to move past moments without actually moving through them, and that pattern quietly builds. For the person saying it, "that's okay" can feel safe. But for the person hearing it, the effect can be unclear. Was it really okay, or was it just easier to say so? Because nothing else was expressed, there's no space for clarification. The moment closes politely, but the emotion doesn't always close with it. And when this happens often enough, people stop explaining themselves and start assuming everything is fine, even when it isn't. Most people don't say "that's okay" to hide their feelings. They say it because it feels considerate. It avoids conflict, it avoids making the other person feel guilty, and it avoids turning a small moment into a bigger one. Saying "that's okay" feels emotionally mature. It signals understanding. It signals flexibility. But it also asks the speaker to absorb the disappointment silently. And over time, that silence adds up. Not as anger, but as distance. At some point, you recognize the phrase immediately. You hear "that's okay," and you pause. Sometimes you're the one saying it. Sometimes you're the one hearing it. Either way, it carries the same feeling. Not relief, just quiet acceptance. "That's okay" isn't a bad phrase. It sounds kind, understanding, reasonable. But it's another example of how modern communication chooses comfort over clarity. Words that smooth things over without addressing what was felt. And somehow, without discussion, this became completely normal. So the question remains, who approved this?